So one of the big balancing factors coming in AOS 4.0 and aimed chiefly at making the double turn not such a powerful mechanic is by limiting the scoring ability of an army that may choose to take a double turn. And in today's Warcom article, we get to see and learn a little bit more about how they are going to do that in the form of the new and improved battle tactics. So yes, the first thing to remember and note is that if you choose to take the double turn, so if you went second in the last battle round and now choose to take the first turn in the current battle round, you don't get to use this new ability that's been introduced. And this new ability is called Tactical Gambit, and it's done at the start of your turn, and it basically lets you pick one of the battle tactics you haven't achieved yet, and you get to try and achieve it over the course of that turn. So it's fairly similar to how we know it from AOS 3.0 in terms of choosing a battle tactic. It just means that if you go and get the double turn or have the double turn, you don't get to go for these extra points. And they state that the battle plans for AOS 4.0 will allow you to score 10 points each round, and that by taking a double and thus losing the choice of a battle tactic, you miss out on 4 of those points. So that is potentially 40% of your points for that battle round just gone if you choose the double turn. So it really is quite a big hit. And whilst the double turn can be massively impactful, it lets you get the edge on moving up, casting more spells, fighting the enemy a bit more, it does now come at a fairly significant cost. And I think that's really good because it means it may not always be the easy go-to option anymore. They did also clarify something that I was personally a bit worried about, and that is that if an opponent forces the double on you by going first in the last battle round and then winning the priority and making you go first in the current battle round, so you get 2 turns in a row, if you get that forced on you, you don't lose the option to take a battle tactic. You can't be forced or pushed out of getting to take a battle tactic. It is only a decision that is made based on your own choices. So that's really nice, and I'm glad they put that in, because if you could have stopped your opponent getting a battle tactic by forcing the double on them, that would have just been really unfun and really kind of gamey and just quite a toxic way to play the game, I think. So I'm glad that they have put that clarity in. The only way you can lose out on a battle tactic is by your own decisions. They did show off a few of the battle tactics. There are apparently 6 universal ones as well as 2 for each Grand Alliance. So the unique individual book battle tactics do seem to be gone for now anyway. And I also think this is really good because it means they can balance them out a lot more. Rather than having to try and balance a few more battle tactics for every single army book, there is going to be just a lot less of them. So if there are any that are being picked all the time, it's going to be much, much easier for GW to just fix them up slightly and make it so that everyone has access to almost the same level of battle tactics that will hopefully at least be somewhat achievable for most players. It's going to mean that armies that currently have those auto-achieve battle tactics that you just always take and really give them the upper hand are now going to have to actually compete with the other armies that at present may not have any good battle tactics to go for. The universal ones we see, they are fairly standard. They are mostly quite achievable too from the looks of it. Seize the center means you need to get 2 units within 3 inches of the center of the battlefield and not be in combat at the end of the turn. So this is great for someone that is taking the first turn in battle round 1. You can just move up and get that battle tactic. But of course it does also potentially leave you at risk of an enemy countercharge in their following turn. Take the flanks instead rewards you moving up the sides. You need to be out of your friendly territory with at least 2 units because you need 1 unit within 6 inches of each of the short edges of the battlefield. So again, this promotes you moving up the side and going round, which can be good, it can be useful, it can be easy to do, but it could also potentially leave a couple of your units really away from the center of the battlefield where the combat might be taking place, so you'll need to kind of move them back in really quickly after you've done this tactic. Slay the Entourage, on the other hand, is the more killy option. You choose a unit from the enemy general's regiment and then you score them if you do manage to kill that unit. So again, it's nothing super hard to achieve, but when you select these tactics is going to play a big part in the game. You risk overextending yourself if you go for the Seize the Center too early, or if you go after that opponent with Slay the Entourage, your opponent can potentially buff that unit up or do some really sneaky tricks with them to make them a lot harder for you to kill than you initially thought they were going to be when you selected them as your target. So I do like the fact that when you choose these and how you choose these and go for them is going to be quite important and play a big part in how you approach the game. It's not just going to be a case of picking the really easy ones and going for it and achieving it. You are actually going to have to think things through a little bit. Finally, we did also get a sneak peek at the Grand Alliance specific ones. These ones are of course a little more tailored, and some I would say do seem a bit easier to achieve than others, but they are all very thematic and fluffy and fun, and they give you, if nothing else, something to shoot for that might be, for your specific army or faction, that little bit easier to do. Reclaim the Realms is the Order one, and it means you need one or more friendly units in each battlefield quarter, more than 6 inches from any enemies. So I think this one could be good if you have, 4 or 5 units left near the end of the game, and there's only a few enemy units around. You can easily just jet your units off to each quarter of the battlefield and get a few easy-ish points to round off the game. Ordained Charge is the one for Chaos, and in this you have to choose an objective controlled by your enemy, and then if 2 or more friendly units charged this turn, 1 or more of those units is contesting that objective and you control that objective, you get this battle tactic. So it is a bit wordy and it seems a bit complicated. It's, I would say, maybe a little bit trickier to do than the Order one, but it's not too bad. You need to have 2 successful charges and you need to manage to fight off or at least have enough units surviving to take the objective from your enemy. So it's definitely not impossible, and if you charged in a Lord on a Karkadrak and a big unit of Knights in, for instance, you could definitely get this done. As I said, I just don't think it's maybe quite as easy as the Order one because you are reliant on those random charge rolls and potentially having a fairly successful fight phase to make sure you are controlling that objective by the end of the turn. Marked for the Grave is the Death one, and this one seems fairly straightforward to me. It's basically you pick a unit and kill it. You have to pick a non-hero unit if you can, but otherwise it's just you get the tactic if the unit you've chosen was destroyed this turn. So it gives you the whole magic phase, the whole shooting phase, the whole fight phase to get rid of them, and at the end of the day it's something you're going to want to be doing anyway. So it does just seem like a solid all-rounder battle tactic for me. If you have a unit that is quite depleted and you think you can easily finish it off in this coming turn, this does seem like a pretty much auto pick for me. Finally, we have Time to Get Stuck In. This is the Destruction one, and this seems to be probably the hardest to achieve, I think. You have to pick 3 friendly units within your territory, and you get this if by the end of the turn they are all wholly outside your territory and they've used a fight ability in the turn. So yes, again, it's something you are going to want to be doing. You are going to want to be moving up, getting out of your territory and getting into combat. But the fact that you have to do it on 3 units does potentially make it very reliant on those random charge rolls if you need to charge into combat or anything like that. You may also have some units that you want to keep back to keep on home objectives or doing other things there. So this could be a bit trickier just because it's on 3 units rather than 1 or 2. I would say it's still definitely doable, maybe as a turn 2 or turn 3 tactic when the enemy has gotten a bit closer to your lines. You do just need to be a bit more careful about it to make sure that you have 3 units that you definitely do want to get fully out your territory and that are close enough to an enemy to be able to use a fight ability that turn as well. Overall though, I have to say I'm liking this updated system. It seems simpler but still has that nuance and tactical depth of choosing when the best time for a particular tactic is. I also personally really like the changes to priority and making that double turn much more of a double-edged sword. I think what we see so far from the Grand Alliance tactics, they're all very much doable and none seem like they're going to be pointless to ever take, whilst at the same time, aside from maybe the Death one, none of them seem like an easy auto-pick tactic that you will just guarantee to be able to get whenever you choose it every single game. So for me, all in all, this is just looking like a big win. and I personally can't wait to see how it shakes up games of AOS and just how popular the feared double turn is in this new edition, now that you do potentially have to sacrifice so much for it. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, what do you make of these new rules? Let me know your thoughts and theories and ideas down in the comments below. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe for more Warhammer content from me. But until next time, I'll catch you later, guys.